Hey everyone out there in internet land, once again it's time for Lancing with Myself. In this case, a very special episode of Lancing with Myself. It's the self-isolation COVID-19 episode. You may of course be self-isolating, you probably are in these times, and you might be thinking to yourself, hey, it's time to do that game design that I've always been putting aside. So I just want to do a bit of a video about that, because you might find yourself unable to do that design. And the question is why? I've got all this free time. And you might think, well, maybe I'm a little bit stressed, but on the other hand, what have I got to be stressed about? I'm young, I'm fit, my family is safe, I'm isolated, I've got supplies, I don't know anyone who's sick, I'm in a relatively well-off country even, and things like that. There may be lots of reasons why you don't think you should be that stressed, but the thing about stress is it's invisible, and it's the things that you can't see that are often the most stressful. We can plan around some things. We can think about ourselves like, what are the things that are likely to stress me? Am I busy? Is there an event coming up? Is there something in my life that's going on? And we can notice those things and we can plan around them. We go, right, those things are sapping my spoons. I'm tired, I'm busy, I'm stressed. All these kind of things can, be easily flagged and be noted down as things that are going to impede our process. But there are things that we can't see, the invisible claws. Every winter comes around and I find myself unable to design as much as I normally do. And the reason is I'm just that little bit colder. My system is fighting a little bit harder to stay alive. So my spoons are running out. And that means I don't have the spoons to spend on design. I am that kind of person. I need to have a lot of energy in my tank. I need to have a lot of spoons at hand if I'm going to be able to design. And as I get a little bit more anxious and a little bit more worn down, I'm able to do less because it's just less in my tank. So you might be finding yourself sitting at home, lots of time, fair amount of security, fair amount of safety, and still unable to design because you can't see all those little invisible pieces of stress that you're picking up from the news, from all the bad news, from the change, from the stress, from the wondering, from the uncertainty. All these things are little invisible claws that make it harder to make art and create. You might not find that, you might be able to do it fine, but if you are sitting at home and wondering why you're not getting to all those projects and instead you're maybe anxiously cleaning something, or you're just hovering in place, or you just can't get started, it's probably because you haven't realized just how many of your spoons are going to all this bad news, all this stress, all this change, and all this uncertainty. So my advice to you is don't try to make games. If you're stressed, if you're low on spoons, sometimes you just have to stop and wait until the time comes again. I had a rule when I was writing Relics, was never design when you're depressed or when you're out of spoons, basically. Now that was one of the reasons why it took me 3 years to finish the thing, but it's also the main reason the thing was finished, because I never pushed myself when I knew it was going to hurt and when I was, dragging myself too hard in a time when I didn't have the spoons. So don't fret if you're not using this time to do all the amazing creative processes that people might be saying you should be doing. All right? Forget about that. Figure out how many spoons you have. Realize that there are invisible claws stealing all your spoons, and realize that that means you might not be in the best place to design. With that in mind, I'll see you next time. Till then, be good, play games, pat dogs, have fun, and stay indoors.